AV friends, and welcome to HETMA Presents Chair to Chair, the podcast where I sit down with the incredible leaders driving innovation and community within HETMA, the Higher Education Technology Managers Alliance. I'm Erin Maher-Moran, chair of HETMA's board of directors, and I'm excited to bring you into conversations that go beyond the day-to-day of technology management. In each episode, we'll explore not just what our community chairs do for HETMA, but who they are as people, professionals, and leaders. We'll dive into their career journeys, the moments that shape their perspectives, and the vision that drives their work in higher education technology. Most importantly, we'll connect their stories to the themes and challenges that mattered most to our community right now. So whether you're a longtime HETMA member or considering getting more involved, or simply curious about the people who dedicate their time to advancing our profession, these conversations are for you. So settle in and let's go chair to chair. And in the chair today, I have Erin Baker from Stephen F. Austin State University, who is the HETMA Events Chair. So thank you for chatting with me today, Erin.
Hey, no problem. We finally got the Erin show going.
Yes, absolutely. So, Erin, let's start off by talking about your journey to your university and how you found your way into the higher ed technology arena.
Yeah, I guess I kind of found it by accident, per se. So back ages ago, I was a student worker for our Center for Teaching and Learning, and back when SFA was starting out some of these classroom upgrades, it was actually under the Center for Teaching and Learning at first before it got moved over to IT. So I got a little bit of a taste for that, and then it happened to be not long after I graduated, this position opened up and applied for it since the classroom director was my previous director at Center for Teaching and Learning, so I already knew who I was working for and all that. So I kind of stumbled in, and to be honest, it wasn't even supposed to be a permanent deal. I was half expected it to be like a little entry thing and I go somewhere else within SFA, but I ended up falling in love with it quickly, and I've been here ever since for 4 years now.
It's kind of funny how that seems to happen with so many of us in higher ed. We just kind of stumble into it and are like, you know what, I can do this for a while. And then it sort of just sticks. That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what drew you to HETMA, and like what made you want to take on the events committee chair role?
So kind of what got us involved in HETMA is, since we're a smaller school and or only me, one other tech, and our director, so a team, so it's kind of hard to figure out too of like what's everyone doing and whatnot. Like we got a few contacts in some other universities, but it was nice to when my director found out about HETMA a few years ago, that when I joined, that it was nice being able to ask and like, hey, see what everyone else is doing, like realize that, hey, we're not the only ones with these budget constraints and whatnot either. But as I got more and more involved, I liked it more, and kind of helped out with the virtual conference a while back, and ended up liking it, and got nominated and decided to go for it, and been a nice fun year.
Excellent. Yeah. And we certainly love love people getting involved, and I like hearing that we're able to find HETMA, and that it's been a good resource for you, because that was, that's one of the things that we somewhat pride ourselves on, is that we're, the free to join organization, and that we want it to be open to everybody and be a resource available to schools big and small, especially small. But yeah. So let's segue into the theme of the month for May. It's Fuel the Fire, the Path Forward. So as the year ends, reflect on the journey you've taken to let it fuel your path forward. Create an empowered mindset, connect with others, and give an account. So as we in HETMA are approaching the end of our fiscal year, of our best year ever, with our Road to 10K initiative. What part of your professional journey this year are you most proud of?
Yes, this is more of a reflect back more. It's all the the learning and knowledge I've been able to be able to attend more trainings. I've been able to get out through HETMA of finding, uh, find about areas, different devices and classroom technology that we could use, and it's been a fun growing experience and helping, having that backbone of networking that goes on and on about if I ever have a quick question for anything. So I've been proud of being able to network with people and make all those contacts. Yeah, they just pretty much been it so far.
Nice, nice. And can you share a moment from this past year that may have really tested you, but ultimately fueled your growth?
I guess kind of one of our things that's happening right now, and actually, no, just if the first room completed just a few minutes ago before we started this recording. But one of our things we're doing, it's been actually been over a year project now that we're finally starting to slowly get done. Is we're taking out our Zoom rooms. We're just converting to what we call Zoom app rooms because there's a possibility we may not always be a Zoom room or a Zoom campus. And so if we ever need to switch to Teams or Cisco WebEx for whatever reason, that it's not ripping out appliances and whatnot. It's still just pull up the application on the room computer. But what was difficult was some of these rooms have some older equipment that were you could have like four displays in there, and this matrix switching and all that. Trying to figure out how we're going to minimize the functionality without causing everyone, all the faculty members grabbing their pitchforks and everything and coming after us. So we think we finally got settled on something, and if I just got the first room changed over just a few minutes ago, so that was a fun process.
Excellent. I'm glad that you guys were able to find a path forward. So, how do you reflect on your experiences in a way that can actually move you forward rather than just looking backward all the time?
Uh, I don't know. I really don't do enough of it. I have learned throughout this year, but it's like that's pretty much all I do. I look after a project, kind of look down. It's like what did I do? What could I have done differently? No, we had another project that came out where we're converting a dying DM32 or 16 by 16 chassis to MVX and trying to remember how, what did I take away from our first MVX room that we did, and what was from the programming hiccups that we had for from that space that I could quickly get over to this space on top of adding in the visibility and all that other stuff. But other than that, it's just I don't do much about it like I should, but I keep trying.
Right. Yeah. All right. So this theme talks about creating an empowered mindset. So, how has stepping into this leadership role with HETMA empowered you personally and professionally?
Um, it's definitely helped me just personally just grow because while I've done some leadership stuff, like I've always felt like, my personality type isn't really much of the leader stuff. Like I'm okay being in the background. I don't need to be forward facing and all that, but it's been no, wasn't completely thrown into the deep end. No, I've had the previous chairs also help out, and I've been able to lean on them if I had any questions. But it's definitely grown me. Like I've gotten more less introverted throughout the year for sure, and I actually able to go out and reach out. Like it used to. I also remember the first time I reached out to sponsors. Like okay, it's like it took me a good 10 minutes before I hit send, but now I can just hit. Now I can just type up a message and hit send like it's no problem now. So uh, it's been fun.
Yeah, I think that is the interesting part about taking on a leadership role, is especially in a field where so many of us are tend to be a little more on the introverted side, and so it's an effort to have to step up and be like, I am the I'm the head of this, and I'm doing the things. So I appreciate the effort of that you've made to kind of step out of the comfort zone a little bit and you know, get yourself into the limelight a little bit more. What mindset shifts have you had to make to be effective in this volunteer leadership role?
I guess I of not delegating very well, and so being able to let someone else like hey like someone went and designed the the Zoom background for virtual conference. I was something that I was planning on doing, but someone just took the initiative, like, hey, go for it. There's been some other things with getting ready for InfoComm this year that some people have took the initiative to do that I was planning on doing myself, and it's like it's been nice not having that extra stress on. So being able to delegate and let other people do their stuff too has been a nice mindset change that I've actually been trying to apply more professionally, like within my day job too, of letting the newer techs take on some of the stuff that I know I can do quickly in 5 minutes.
That is very much a challenge that to learn. It's a skill to learn how to let go and delegate, and it's a tough one. When I love that you're giving it a try as best you can.
Yeah.
And so, what fuels you when you potentially could be feeling depleted from all of the demands of, being the events chair, doing your full-time job?
Honestly, it's really sitting in out to the meetings and getting to talk with everybody and just kind of like, it seems like part of our meeting always turns into like a little hangout session once we kind of start talk more done with talking stuff we need to in the meeting. So that's always been nice. And of course, our happy hours and all that stuff too. But it's nice having this be able to go out and talk to people and just kind of hang out and not think about work or HETMA or stuff like that too. So
No, absolutely. It's yeah, the community in the of just getting to talk to everybody. Yeah, that's absolutely like fuels me too. And those happy hours. Woo.
yeah.
Yeah, and Erin is definitely, one of the like late night crew members who tends to stick it through to the late-ish hours. I have not been as much of one of the last people standing as of late, but I have a feeling that's going to change real soon.
I have a screenshot on my phone from the one of the happy hours from virtual because I think noticed I started a trend because one of the happy hours I was driving to my parents' house, so I had the camera swapped onto the front, and I happened to look over and saw other people who were in their cars and had the camera facing forward, so I screenshot it real quick just to like, hey, I started something.
Right? Love it. Love the trends. And if anybody who's listening to this doesn't know that we tend to joke that it's not a HETMA meeting unless someone is in their vehicle, and that extends to our happy hours. Obviously, no one is drinking and driving, but it's they're there for the fun and for the camaraderie. But so, sticking with the questions about the theme a little bit still. So the theme talks about um, give an account. So how do you measure your success and hold yourself accountable between work wise or even as the events chair?
Yeah, well, I guess I see how successful or how little how successful it was without little pains as on the expected pains per se, not necessarily the unexpected ones goes on like one of the projects I was mentioning earlier with that NVX setup, like I was expecting it to go a little bit smoother than what it actually did, but it's nice to be able to just go like got to the finish line and like I was able to get accomplished and I think even on the HETMA stuff, like it was nice seeing that when we were planning out the virtual conference, like how I measured the success was just about, you know, not necessarily how many peak numbers we had, but even that retention throughout the actual sessions too. Like I was proud of that, seeing how successful that was, with that retention rate for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's a tough thing to put together a 3-day virtual event like that without any hiccups. And for those who aren't part of the committee in the background chats and stuff, there is a lot of kind of like heart attacks that happen in the scenes, but you would never know because the show goes on, it runs smoothly, but you never knew that like the hour leading up to a session where fiercely like
or even
messaging each
minutes before
other
too.
and making last minute changes, and just everybody rolls with it, and it turned out great. So I job well done, sir. But I definitely, and I have to agree with you too, that there's the metrics that you might just look at the pure numbers, and yeah, that tells one story, but the fact that the people who were on and stayed on and were engaged, like that's the real story, and the part that makes the virtual conference like so great year after year. So how do you balance the pressure of making events successful, with the reality that you're a volunteer and you're doing this on top of your day job?
Uh, I don't think I actually have sat down and thought about it. Like, it's one of those of when I think about it, I think about it, but it's not one of those that there's been times, like especially when we're leading up to some of the events, like yeah, it's in the back of my mind when I'm not actively working on it, but for the most part, like, it's thankfully it has been efficient enough that like I don't have to spend too much time on it. But it's definitely not like I get it's I'm thankful that I don't have to have it as a lower priority as like some of this work stuff that's going on too. So that's been a really blessing on that part, is for sure.
Yeah. And feel like that's something that's almost built in to AV people, that we just like we balance it all out because we know that stuff's going to happen and we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
And then we move on. And I that's yeah, that's where the balance of it happens. So talking a bit more about specifically the events committee chair role, like, so for our listeners, can you paint a picture of what the events committee chair does for HETMA? Because it's a lot and probably people don't quite realize it.
Yeah, so one of the big things, I guess starting off big thing is top of kind of helping assisting with the road shows and helping with the golf classics. The first big major hurdle is actually getting the committee together and deciding on what we want to do for a virtual conference this year. How do we want to do it? What are some topics? And okay, we come up with these topics. Who all can we all go in and poke and like, hey, would you mind coming in and talking about this? We really like what you're doing, type deal. But then after that, it immediately just shifts right into InfoComm stuff. And thankfully, we've been able to have a assistant with that, with getting the booth ready and all that, especially with surprise coming Friday. But they have to come up for that happy hour for that. But it's been nice just being able to we can go out and we have to reach out to all these sponsors. We're helping out the education committee with the summit and all this other stuff, getting all the swag ordered, getting all the booths built out, how we're going to design the booth, reaching out to those sponsors who wants to for our stuff at the booth and all that too. So it's a lot, but it's thankfully it's not everything all at once. You have your seasons per se.
Right. Yeah. Luckily, things are spaced out a little bit so that one flows into the next. And, we've gotten smart in doing pretty much like a year long theme so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel for everything. But there's always a little difference, a little change, a little something as we go along. But yeah, the events committee is vital, and especially like it is one of the committees that meets weekly because we've found that there's enough stuff to talk about that meeting weekly makes makes sense.
Yeah. And it's nice too, since we support so many of the others too. So like with regional events, if there's something that I can't make as a chair to the meeting, I'm like, hey, I'll let know the regional chair, like, hey, just especially for getting ready for roadshow, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to be there, but if you got stuff for roadshow, y'all meet, take care of all that stuff too. So it's
Yeah.
it's nice being able to have that opportunity for for everyone else too that need it for that extra time as well.
Yeah. And so what's been the most rewarding about, you know, being being the HETMA events chair and helping create these experiences?
Honestly, so far it was the how well the virtual conference went this year. Like that was like we were sitting down Friday night after everything, like realizing just how successful it really was and how engaging it all and all that other stuff. So it was real nice to be able to sit and relax and see that actually fully go into for all into how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And has there been anything that's surprised you about the role since you stepped into it?
I wouldn't say not necessarily like previous chairs, kind of gave me some heads up on some stuff that didn't really catch me off guard, but it's been pretty, I will say it's been pretty straightforward.
Good. That's good. And that shows I think a it's kind of a testament to the handing the transition and the handing off of the knowledge and things like that. And luckily it's continued involvement in the organization, by past chairs, so they, continue to lend their help and knowledge. Awesome. And all right, so we said we said it. We said the InfoComm word. So let's talk about HETMA's presence at InfoComm this year. And it's one of the major undertakings for the events committee. So what's the vision for it this year?
So, we're going to play into our road to 10K for sure. And so we're gonna going through with the racing theme, like our shirt, and designed I think a really cool shirt with the kind of homage to the F1 road course there. They've been doing it at Vegas for the past few years. But so we got all that. We're getting some of the race car themes around, and since we're having some more video signage this year, it sounds like we're going to try to get some of that designs and all that go, and we're going to try to hopefully attract more people than we usually do.
I don't know how that'll be possible. Like we HETMA is an attraction on the show floor, and I know that this year is going to be no different. Like we are going to be one of the booths that is a must stop by and must hang out at, especially if you're in the higher ed space. Um, so is there, walk us through what goes into planning our InfoComm presence? Like what happens behind the scenes that most members don't see or people don't realize about?
It takes us forever to decide on our theme. Or we come up with an idea and then another idea comes up, and then maybe during a happy hour, hey, this actually sounds better. So we'll have an impromptu meeting during happy hours. But no, it's joking aside, like it's pretty much that. Like once we finally decide on a theme, it's deciding on like, okay, how are we going to let the booth plan out? Like what are we going to do as form activities during our happy hours? We're doing something new this year. We're having a little after party happy hour go on, and so like we're trying to figure out how we're going to plan for that and design everything. But I guess it's more, just come out with designing more like how are we going to if it pick our theme and how are we going to outdo our theme from last year too is also the big one.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, a lot of people don't necessarily realize like for HETMA, like we start, some of us even start coming into town the Friday before InfoComm starts or Friday or Saturday so that we, set up the physical booth structure and then set up all of the tech that goes as, to make the experience what it is. And that all kind of has to be done before we start our education summit on Monday, and there's still some like setup and stuff that's still going on while, during the summit, but we try to have so much done beforehand. So it's like before even InfoComm starts, we put in so much work that the actual show itself is like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we put in all the work before before the show floor even opens, and it's like, oh, and now we still have this whole event to do. Oh my goodness, it's a lot. Is there anything that you're really excited about this year?
I'm excited to be more involved with the booth this year than I was last year. I'm honestly, for the first time, not really doing much on the actual like presentation side. Like I'm, doing the summit and whatnot, and there's another panel that I'm going to be on. But I'm actually excited, looking more forward just to being on the show floor more this year and getting ready for all that stuff.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, the show floor itself is so much of a part of it. But then we still have those education sessions that a lot of our members are involved in and stuff like that. So it's a balancing act to try to get all of it in. And it's almost impossible to.
Yeah.
but but yeah. Um let's see. So there's a bit of a difference, between just hosting an event and creating an experience that truly connects people. So how do you approach that?
Basically, how we approach it, I say we, it's more as a committee because we team effort, but it's more of if we were to this way, would we, if we were no, if we were just walking up and seeing it for the first time, would it be something that we would be attracted to and want to be doing? And so we approach it that way because we want to make sure it's like me myself might like it, but another person may not necessarily like it and so forth. So we want to make sure we kind of create those experiences that could be more inclusive for everyone, that easy to like sway in and whatnot. So I think that's pretty much a big part of it.
And what's your advice for someone attending like their first HETMA event who might be a little nervous or unsure how to engage?
Don't be afraid to walk up to booths and find someone. I just walked up and started talking to people. Like, don't be afraid just to start having that conversation of like, hey, like, hey, I think this thing might be work for my campus or whatnot. It's like, hey, I'm looking stuff type like this. What do you have? And type deal. But just know that prepared to walk a lot. I think both of the cons, I think I logged multiple days of 20,000 steps or more. But yeah, I think that's pretty much the most advice I could give right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And um, at 2 p.m. each day at the HETMA booth, there is a happy hour. So if having a beverage in your hand helps the socializing, you can take advantage of that. Or we also, in the mornings, we're also going to have some coffee. So if that's more your jam, stop by, grab a cup of coffee, and just hang out with us. We have wonderful people who volunteer as being badge scanners who are super friendly and, do not hesitate to just kind of walk up, have your badge scanned by one of them, and they may refer you to another member who will be, who will be there standing around to talk to you and engage about the, what's going on with HETMA or any questions you might have, or just, hey, what's up? How's your InfoComm going? And it's, it's a great social time, and networking time. It's a great opportunity to, build those networks, but, and totally understandable that InfoComm can be a lot. And looking back at the events this past year, what's the biggest lesson that you're carrying forward?
Follow up with your stuff. Like, you mentioned earlier about, as all the stuff happening in the background of virtual, some of that could have been probably could have been avoided if I had remembered to follow up and double check to make sure everybody was good for virtual. But that was that was one of the main takeaways I've taken out for this year is make sure you follow up. Don't assume.
How has your approach to event planning evolved since you've started in this role?
Ooh, that thing. I don't think I actually. I've started taking a lot more notes about planning stuff and whatnot. Usually I'm like, yeah, I'll do that later. And it's like, wait, what did we just say? But now I'm like actually actively taking notes to make sure and go back and follow up and making sure I can read said notes too. But um, yeah, I think it's more of that. Just make sure taking notes and make sure everything is, available to everyone that needs to have the info they need and all this other stuff.
Well, and by the time this show sees pretty much the light of day, the announcement will have been made of who the new board and chairs are. And it should be no surprise to anyone that Erin has been reelected to the events chair position. So you'll have another year of all the greatness and whatnot. So, thinking about that next year, is there anything that's like exciting you or, that, you can't wait to tackle?
Honestly, I'm waiting for planning the next virtual conference.
Right. And that's one of those things that, like, yes, it may be next February, but as soon as InfoComm is done, yes, we transitioned a lot of our attentions into like the golf tournament, but there's still like the groundwork begins being laid for that virtual conference so that once EDUCAUSE and the golf tournament's done, we're like full steam ahead, all virtual conference and ISE stuff. But lots of virtual conference. Because that does, we want to make sure we do that right, because that is one of our like signature events. I can see why you're most excited about that. That's the virtual conference will always have a place in my heart because that is how I got involved in HETMA. So
Yeah.
I always want to make sure that's a fantastic event. And so what does the future of HETMA events look like as we continue to grow globally?
I'm hoping we start doing more, helping out with more of the road shows. No, we got the one of, oh, I guess by the time this area already have happened, but we got the one in Belgium coming up here soon. And so I was hoping I could get to go to that, but logistics didn't happen, weren't able to line up properly for me to be able to head over there. But I'm hoping we get more of the roadshow events over there. Hoping we start getting more presence in like the other infocomms and like stuff like ISE and all that stuff too. So looking forward to all that happening.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's such a like it's a lot of stuff, but it's all exciting and it's all things that's like it's gonna be so good and so great. And I'm bummed that I will be missing the road show in Belgium also. My son would kind of never let me hear the end of it if I missed his graduation because I was attending an event there. But yeah, but it's bummed, like so bummed. I think that's going to be exciting to see how we can expand those types of events this year. And so, is there anything that you want to do differently, or maybe even try for the first time this coming year?
Offhand, nothing has come to mind yet, but I'm sure something will eventually pop up. They're like, hey, that sounds fun to do. Let's do it.
Right? Yeah, because I mean, it's with HETMA, we're always on to we have our gimmick, we stick to the gimmick, and then we move on to the next gimmick. So we're
Yep.
like, and I think the next gimmick will be pretty good, and it'll be interesting to see how that all unfolds.
For sure.
So for our listeners, what's the best advice someone who wants to get more involved with HETMA events? What would be the best advice for them?
Just start attending the committee meetings. That's pretty much it. Maybe something pops up that gets said during the committee, like, "Hey, I can do that," and you can volunteer for it, and we'll be more than happy to have you on and join the committee and appreciate any help that can come from that.
Okay. And what should people know about InfoComm and, you know, making the most of their time our presence there?
I would say make to have, effectively make your most out of InfoComm. Like, don't, look up some of these other manufacturers that are going to be out on the show floor. Kind of start making your stuff. I know we usually have we'll have we'll have the Fixa show floor tours that you can sign up for, and we'll also have some of the unofficial official tours go on as well. So if you can't make it to InfoComm too. Like we'll have plenty of coverage on the higher ed AV side as well. We've been having actual separate planning meetings just for how we're going to tackle all that as well. So very much we'll have there's plenty of stuff out there, and don't be afraid to like it's all going to be the ooh shiny, but don't. It's okay to put the blinders on sometimes on that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And as much as I'm like, do all of the things and hang out with me, um, absolutely schedule your time. Be very intentional about balancing out your education sessions, your time on the show floor, and also just break time.
Yeah,
Because and also keep in mind trekking from place to place, because having things in two different halls is great, and segmenting different themes and things, but it's also, especially if you're scheduling booth tours, make sure that you're not scheduling one in one hall and one in the other hall back to back so that you're zipping around like a madman.
yeah. Or if it does happen, let them know like, hey, I have a like I had accidentally did, but like say like, hey, I got a previous one up right in the other hall, but I might be a few minutes late.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Don't be afraid to let your rep know that, cuz yeah, it's not worth trying to trying to like rush too quickly and burn yourself out too
Yeah.
early by running around so much. So before we wrap up, um what's one thing you want people to remember about the power of coming together at events?
Community and networking from it. Like I think that's been my favorite part of being part of the putting on these events and having them one is seeing all the community that come together and all the networking that happens and all that stuff. So I think I would say that's part of my answer for that.
Excellent. Okay. And how can our listeners connect with you or the events committee?
And so I'm always active on the HETMA community. I was sad my 200 something day streak actually got missed. Actually at a roadshow, so I ended up
No.
breaking there. But I've been trying to build it back up. I always keep a tab open on my browser at work, so if I hear that ding, I always click on and see what's going on. But join the committees on the community there. You can find me there as well. And then I've been trying to get a little bit more active on LinkedIn. I at least will connect and follow people around. I don't post as much, but at least I'll have those connections out, so you can always find me on LinkedIn for sure. But I think that's very much best ways you can find me and contact me.
Fantastic. And if you're interested in the events committee, they meet every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can find that on the HETMA community.
Yep.
And so, thank you so much, Erin, for sharing your journey, your insights, and your passion for creating the experiences that bring our HETMA community together. To anyone listening, I hope this conversation has inspired you to reflect on your own journey this year. What moments tested you? What lessons you're carrying forward? And most importantly, how is that journey fueling your path ahead? Reflection isn't just about looking back. It's about mining those experiences for the insights that empower us to move forward with clarity and purpose. And speaking of moving forward, if you're heading to InfoComm, please make HETMA a priority on your show floor plan. Erin and the events committee have been working incredibly hard to create meaningful opportunities for our community to connect, learn, and celebrate together. Stop by the booth and connect with your favorite, or with your favorite, well, yeah, your favorite, and your fellow HETMA members. These face-to-face moments are where the magic happens. If you can't make it to InfoComm, don't worry. There'll be lots of higher ed AV media coverage of InfoComm. Plus, there are HETMA events happening throughout the year, from our virtual conference to regional roadshows. So find one that works for you and show up. This community is strongest when we're together, and the connections you make at these events might just be the fuel that propels your career forward. So as we head into the final stretch of this fiscal year and school year, I encourage you to do your own reflection. What's working? What have you learned? What's fueling your fire? And then use those insights to create an empowered mindset for whatever comes next. Until next time, keep fueling that fire, keep connecting with others, and keep moving forward on your path with purpose and intention. I'm Erin Maher-Moran, and this has been Chair to Chair. See you at InfoComm. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for tuning in to HETMA Presents. This show is a production of Higher Ed AV Media. Please visit higheredav.com to learn more about this show and a host of others. The views expressed here are not necessarily those of our respective institutions, employers, or sponsors. We'll be back soon with another installment of HETMA Presents.